I'm Matt Bodie, and I'm the Robbins Kaplan Professor at the University of Minnesota Law School. I am interested in the relationship between employees and the organizations that they work for, the business organizations that hire, fire, employ them, and there's a lot that comes with that relationship. So labor and employment law obviously is one big focus, but I'm also interested in corporate law, in contracts, and information privacy law, especially as it relates to the workers and their data. Between undergraduate and law school, I was working for two nonprofits, and they were both in the housing realm, and I noticed in some of the work I was doing that a lot of what was driving the housing difficulties that people were having in the early 90s were lack of employment or lack of good jobs that could pay for decent housing. And so over time I became more interested in the role of work, and particularly the role of law in kind of facilitating work, protecting workers, creating these organizations that hire workers, namely, corporations. And so working on that really got me on the pathway to doing what I'm doing now, which is studying as an academic how workers and companies and unions interrelate with one another. So I'm teaching contracts. It's my favorite one, of course, and I like it in part because it's something students are familiar with. Everyone's formed contracts. Most people form contracts every day when you buy something at a store or when you click on a button on the internet. A lot of times you're forming a contract, and people don't always think of it that way. But they also have formal contracts like leases and student loans, and this is something where you're kind of coming into your adult life. You're taking on big contracts, small contracts, and you're thinking a lot more about, well, should I really be reading the fine print on these? What does it mean? Do I have contracts with my family when we have informal bargaining relationships over things? What is this economic world that I'm entering? And so contracts is really the introduction to this economic world for first-year students, and there's a lot of doctrine. It does get a little complicated, but I think it's something that most students end up really finding interesting once they start to dig into some of the complexities. There's a stereotype that law students can be competitive, and I think that's true maybe on a kind of a broader level, in that people want to do well and that people want to get good grades. But I think when it comes to a day-to-day experience, law students want to work with each other. They want to help each other out. And that really is important to learning the law. I think working cooperatively, bouncing ideas off other people, trying to build, say, an outline together can really be transformative in terms of your education.